it's about fishing. So I'm going to shut this off. I'm going to find out what's happening and try and get some flipping fish. Okay guys, Friday afternoon, evening. Well, we're on the Arun guys, and we're going to head out of the bar and we are going to catch some mackerel, I reckon. I wasn't going to come out because it's a bit of an ordeal trying to get the boat off the sand, but we're going to. Okay, we've got some proper water here. Cool. So yeah, we're going to go out and then open it up and then dart off past the, I don't know where we're going to go. But there's some beaches everywhere, so I reckon we can. Okay, so out here you can see there is the River Arun. We are out here. I'm going to call this Arun Mouth, and we are going to do a bit of fishing. We're blowing a bit. Outboard's acting, I don't know, I've got a trim right on it, but you know, that's because I don't know why that is actually. Normally I'm pretty good with that. But I think it's time to start thinking about doing some fishing. And I'm going to start, we're going for mackerel, so I'm going to start trolling. That's the thing we're going to do, and we're going to drop the line out the back, woo, and see what we can do. So here goes. So we're just trolling for some mackerel, and in the last vlog I told you guys that we'd be going out on the big boat and we'd be having loads of fun. We were going to catch mackerel, we were going to feed them seals, we were going out to Pilot's Cove with the family and the dogs, and as you guys can see, there isn't the family, there isn't the dogs, and there isn't the daughter. And the reason for that is we did take the big boat out, but it was an epic disaster. The engine failed, and you know, these things happen with boats, but this was the first time that my wife and my daughter had ever shown any interest in coming out. So it was a proper disappointment. We launched in the marina, we went out, it was all very good. The wind blew up way more than it is today, and so did the waves. And we turned round, the boat decided to throw a temperature alarm, which was weird, it's never done that before. It was still pumping water, and then once that cleared, it just stalled, and when we got back to the marina, it wouldn't start when we're out on the water at all. In fact, this is a bit of a lesson of good preparation prevents disaster, because we ended up coming home limping in on the auxiliary, which I have to say guys, I was very surprised was going to push it, especially in that weather. The auxiliary is 6 horsepower and it did a mighty fine job. It's the same 6 horsepower I told you in the last vlog that the motor was tosh, but thankfully I gave it a little bit of work and it pulled through for us. But yeah, if you ever going out, and we were a couple of miles offshore, and it took us about 5 minutes to get a couple of miles offshore, probably longer obviously, but it certainly took us about an hour to fight the wind and the tide. It got that rough when we were out there. It got that rough that at one point, well, I had to throw out the anchor to collect my thoughts and decide what we were going to do. But when bringing in the anchor, I was literally pulling the whole boat against the wind and the tide. And let me tell you, that is hard work. Broadside as well, because I couldn't go around the gunnels. It was too rough for that. When I was starting the little outboard, not this one, the 6, both engines were going under the water. I've never seen anything like it. It went from glass to just, I suppose a surfer would call it gnarly, but yeah, I don't know what I call it. It was just unpleasant, mighty unpleasant. So anyway, I thought I'd share that with you. Take all your safety equipment out there. Thankfully we got in under our own steam, but it just goes to show that had we not got that auxiliary, or if that auxiliary had died or not worked or not started, then it would have been a Coast Guard call without a shadow of a doubt. If it was me on my own, I would have probably found a sheltered bay and then not bothered fighting the tide on the estuary. I would have just come in, waited till the tide changed and then come in with the tide. It would have made life a lot easier. When you have family and a young daughter, really your main priority changes, and although that would have been the easiest option, in the back of your mind is this problem has to be addressed at some point. And so we hit it head on. My wife, well, she was really, really good about the whole thing. I mean, properly good. And this is the important thing with any, I'm going to say disaster, but I don't mean disaster, but situation that arises that you're not really thinking is going to. I'd like to say situation that you weren't prepared for, but we were prepared for it. So that's not it. But any of these situations, the most important piece of advice I can give anyone is do not panic. Make sure you've got an anchor. And not just that, make sure you have an anchor that holds. Because that is pretty key. If your anchor's not holding, you don't have the time to think about things. We had time, although it was uncomfortable and although it was lumpy. To be honest, takeaways from the experience. Well, my wife's takeaway is that she's not going out in the boat again. In fact, we have been discussing repowering. I've been discussing a very significant repower. She's just been discussing reliability repower. So we're on. Here we go. To be continued. Sorry guys, that was a little premature. That was nothing on the end of that. It was, I thought it was, or it might have been something that jumped, but it certainly isn't anymore. So takeaways. My wife's not going in the boat unless it's repowered or it's more reliable. I have isolated the problem. I was looking at 115 horsepower. Hard to come by, there is one available, but it's 10 grand, 10 and a half grand, nearly 11 grand. And that is a lot of money to spend. My takeaway from it all is that I am very, very, very pleased. I'm trying to reel in at the same time as talk to you guys. Don't know if there is something here. Yep, I have caught seaweed. Yeah, so my takeaway from it all is that I had all the equipment on board that I needed, and that was probably the worst it's ever likely to get, touch wood, because I had a full boat in pretty bad conditions, to be honest, and I still punched back against the wind and the tide, and I got us all home safely. But guys, you know, I double up on everything. My boat runs very heavy because of that, and thankfully I knew how to use it, so that might be a bit of advice for anyone out there. But this isn't an advice lecture. I say I know this probably isn't a brilliant mackerel spot. I know that because I haven't caught any, but we will. Just wait. It's there we go. Oh, corn. Oh, go on. Oh. I caught seaweed, baby. Oh, here we go, fish on. Time to just check the trim on this motor. It's broken, the boat's falling to pieces. Because it's... Oh. Yep. Okay guys, let's go to a different spot. Weight smack me in my frickin' Ray-Bans. Who said fishing was a good idea? Haha. On the hunt for mackerel! Whoa, whoa! I'm a mackerel man! Whoa! Okay, signing off for a minute until I find some flat bit of water and a mackerel. So the other thing to ask or address is why on such a splendid day am I out here? You know, why aren't I nearer home? Yeah, how I actually managed to get a pass out. I was actually meant to be going to, I'm going to call it some shop, I'm not going to name names, but basically I've travelled all the way down here to get a fuel vaporizer, fuel vapor separator. That's what I've got. And that's the problem. That's what the problem with the big boat was. It was pumping loads and loads and loads of fuel and basically it was coming out through the vapor hose that goes into the airbox, and it seems to have choked the poor girl, which seems a bit of a shame. You know, what a way to go. But yeah, so I was getting one of those for the grand sum of £360, and you know, for a new boat part you probably think it's not too bad. No, not new, second hand. 360 quid. Stone me. But you know, beggars can't be choosers. Without one, my boat is pretty much no good. And so, ooh, long live boats, I say, and spending money on them. That's always a good one. So let's see if there's a mackerel here. If there's not, I'm going to go up the river and, I don't know, do something. I don't know what time it is. See, the trouble is, if I set off back home now, I'm just going to get caught in all the traffic. So I think it's my duty to stay out here till at least high tide, which is 6 o'clock. If I catch a mackerel, that's cool, because then I can cook it somewhere. You know, in the pan, back of the car park, beach, who knows. And if I don't catch one, you know, this video probably ends in about 5 seconds, so we'll see. But guys, honestly, 360 quid. Guys, I've just looked down there and there is absolutely no fish.